What's up, YouTube? Any mention that I make of jw.org, Jehovah's Witnesses, their digital, online, or printed materials is done under the Copyright Disclaimer, Copyright Act of 1976 for fair use for purposes such as criticism, news reporting, and teaching, research too, etc., etc. What's up, everybody? I'm back. Same day, same red hoodie. 20 minutes after Christmas talk. So it's still Christmas Day. And I did want to add this. We read that ridiculous article or a portion of it where Watchtower said people use it as an excuse to get drunk, participate in revelries. The mall replaces church, blah, blah, blah. So I think people also use it. Again, I brought up the Salvation Army bell ringers. People also use it as an excuse to do good for others, feed the poor, clothe the poor, have a food drive, have a clothing drive, invite strangers into their home, look at themselves twice or three times to make sure they're appreciating and have life in a proper context so that they might sort things out and do more and better towards others. So I think this boils down to, if you want to find the negative in something, you can. But if you want to find positive in it, you will also. Unless, like today is Festivus, and we are airing our grievances against Watchtower. You can learn good manners from Watchtower, but outside of that, they just want your money. And because it is a captive organization, if you try to leave peacefully or they put you out, you will lose. So why be a part of that? You should be able to walk into a store, a school, pick a place, and if you say it's not for me, why should they get to charge you for coming in the first place? So in this video number 6, we're going to talk about the whackness, the ridiculousness, the nonsensical two-witness rule. And again, I'll try to be brief. So in a nutshell, Jehovah's Witnesses have a rule that unless the person admits to the crime or immoral act, there must be 2 witnesses or 2 victims, and they can both serve as witnesses. So this plays out mostly in like sexual assault and child abuse, where a person is like, no, I didn't do that. I just had little bugs over so we could practice his presentation and paint my fence. I would never touch his privates. That's ridiculous. He might be dealing with something else. So if a guy says that, and usually it's men, it can be a woman, but 99% of the time it's some dirty old man who needs help himself. If he says that to the allegation, JWs don't do their like formal yet imaginary investigation with all their imaginary rules. The bigger issue is there's a reason they won't call the police, the experts, child protective services, the social worker, the fire department, an investigator. They won't. So even if they have 2 witnesses or 90, they never call the police. So I might insert their stance on this now or in the beginning. I'll probably put it in the beginning. No, I'll put it in now. There'll be a break and then you'll hear them. They stand by it. They actually stand by it.
Think about the apostate-driven lies and dishonesties that Jehovah's organization is permissive toward pedophiles. I mean, that is ridiculous, isn't it? If anybody takes action against someone who would threaten our young ones and takes action to protect our young ones, it's Jehovah's organization. We reject outright such lies.
Well, it has to do with the apostates. Now, there's something that the apostates are talking about and trying to put forward. The media has picked it up. Others have also picked it up. And that is our scriptural position of having two witnesses a requirement for judicial action if there's no confession. Now, if you open your Bible, it says, no single witness may convict another for any error or any sin that he may commit. On the testimony of two witnesses or on the testimony of three witnesses, the matter should be established. The Old Testament also says that adulteresses should be stoned. Now, since you're not doing that, why do you stick to this two-witness rule?
We're using the clip created by The Truth is Hard to Swallow. So this is another truth teller, someone awake from Watchtower's just idiot ways. They're awake from all of that stupidity and their non-inspired teachings. So The Truth is Hard to Swallow. Thank you. You did great in putting this together. And Truth is Hard to Swallow can be found on Instagram. Follow that person. They're good. Anyway, not anyway, but also in this video clip, Watchtower, for some reason, they felt impelled to address apostates and to address the media. Now, to me, that means you're sweating some, because if apostates are nothing and the media is liars and they don't have the Holy Spirit, why even act like they're real? Like, why even give them credence? And that's what they do in this video. Something they've taken a hold of, something that apostates have trouble with. And that's a lie. He lied in this video. He flat out lied. He flat out lied. Why did he lie? What was his lie? He said that apostates in the media have a problem with the fact that they have this two-witness rule. Now let's explore this two-witness rule. Let's explore it. Okay, so they go to the Old Testament, of course, because 4,000 years ago, God was talking, well, maybe 2,000, 3,000 years ago. In Deuteronomy, God was talking about child molesters or people who rape women in the churches. And you need to have two witnesses, because usually when people get raped, like, someone's just standing there, not calling the cops, watching it. Like, I say this with sarcasm, but it's so ridiculous and serious that they apply a two-witness rule to it. And this is where he lied. Like, he lied about the point of view of the media and people who have disowned Watchtower's beliefs. And I'm going to do a video on that word apostate, but I don't like apostate because it has a negative connotation and it makes people right away assume you're wrong because you left something that you're now an apostate to. So I will do a video about why I don't like the word apostate. There are many other better words, because apostate makes people think you're wrong based on its connotation. So anyway, back to these scriptures from the first century that Watchtower uses to support their stupid, ridiculous two-witness rule that if they disowned, it would tear them down. All right. So in Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 6, they talk about this law. On the evidence of two witnesses or of three witnesses, the one who is to die shall be put to death. A person shall not be put to death on the evidence of one witness. Verse 7, the hand of the witnesses shall be first against him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. So you shall purge the evil from your midst. Okay, so no one's asking them to murder, execute, kill child molesters or pedophiles. No one's asking them to do that. All right, let's move on. Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 15. A single witness shall not suffice against a person for any crime or for any wrong in connection with any offense that he has committed. Only on the evidence of two witnesses or of three witnesses shall a charge be established. Okay, again, God was not having people write this down, if God had people write this down, because he knew people would get accused of child molesting and pedophilia and sexual assault on women at the Kingdom Hall or other places. So he's like, when these charges come up, let's make sure we got two witnesses, because there should be somebody, who saw this lady become touched or offended sexually, or this man touched this child in a most perverted, disgusting manner. But usually there's a witness there. So you won't have any problem taking care of this. All right. So then they went to the New Testament. So stuff not written 2,000 years ago, but like 1,950 years ago. All right. If your brother sins against you, and again, I'm reading out of the English Standard Version because it doesn't have the word Jehovah in it, which is not God's name. So Matthew 18:15. If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother. But if he does not listen, take one or two others along with you, that every charge may be established by the evidence of two or three witnesses. If he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. If he refuses to listen even to the church, let him be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. 2 Corinthians 13:1. 2 Corinthians 13:1. Final warnings. This is the third time I am coming to you. Every charge must be established by the evidence of two or three witnesses. Okay, so it's clear the Bible talks about two or more witnesses for establishing a matter as something credible, something that needs to be addressed. All right, so the brother in that video, the twister of truth in that video, don't even call him a brother. Well, he could be a bad brother, right? So the bad brother in that video, he brought up Matthew 18:15. So the context of this scripture, let's say like I'm about to make my gift offering and somebody slapped me at the market from the synagogue. Just walked up like I was in line right here. You bought my apples and pears and they just slapped me. So I'm about to make my gift offering like a week later, and I'm like, I'm still a little salty because Jebediah slapped me at the market and I spilled my fruit. So then I should sit my sacrifice down and go to do like, when you slapped me, I didn't know you were in line before me, and that was a little bogus. but you slapped me and I'm still salty. Like, could you apologize for that? Or if you don't even want to apologize, just be like, yeah, I slapped you, dude. And then if he doesn't listen, it's saying, if he listens to you, you have gained your brother. But if he does not listen to you, take one or two others along with you. So this isn't even like witnesses to the slap at the marketplace because I skipped him in line. This is like witnesses to me being like, let's squash our beef. I didn't know I skipped you and then you slapped me. So I take like Obadiah and Zedekiah and we go to his house and there I'm like, remember I came here yesterday and I was like, you slapped me? And you were like, dude, I didn't slap you when you skipped me in line. I was cool with it. And I'm like, no. But if you didn't slap me and you didn't get offended that I skipped you in line, how come we got some beef? So I bought these two fools. We need to settle it. And they need to see that we settled it. They need to be witnesses to the fact that I'm trying to make peace with you. So again, if he hears you out, then you gained him. But if he still refuses, now you got to go to like the high priest or somebody above both of you. Like, I took Zedekiah and Obadiah, and this dude slapped me, and I want to make peace so I can offer up my offering, which is stale by now because this takes days. But anyway, it's the way you do it. And then the high priest or whoever, the elder in the church is like, or the synagogue, he's like, screw him. I didn't slap him. We don't have a problem. I am salty, but it's not about him skipping me in line, whatever. Then we have to not talk to him because he's like a Gentile or a tax collector. So in the most contrived and convoluted way, Matthew chapter 18 does not support those scriptures from Deuteronomy. That's talking about Matthew is about an offense that happened that him and I had between us. And then I take witnesses to see me or watch me try to make peace. Whether he's down with that peacemaking or not is what they will be witnesses to. Not the slap. Like they weren't around for that. Or maybe their wife saw it or their kid was playing with like a stick and a loop at the market and they saw me get slapped. Anyway, they use that to support the two witness rule. So my point is this. I said he lied and he did. I'm sure they didn't talk to an apostate to say what apostates are upset about with their two witness rule. And I don't think they called the Royal Commission or NBC to ask the media, like, what's your problem? Because we're going to make a video at morning worship and try to set it straight. So here's what's going down. This is why he lied. He lied because apostates and the media could care less about your whack judicial meetings and investigations. They're imaginary. The power in those meetings only exists in the minds of the elders and the person that's subjecting themselves to your lame judicial process. Apostates and the media don't care. They couldn't care less about your ridiculous, stupid, imaginary judicial process. Like, it's nothing. Like, you could hand out paper money. It's as tangible and real as Monopoly papers. Like, we don't care about your stupid judicial process. And he's like, they're upset about our two witness rule and how we won't do judicial whatever unless there are two witnesses to, well, let's see why we do that from the Bible as we mix and match scriptures that don't coincide with each other. Apostates in media don't care about your dumb judicial meetings because they're nothing. Okay? They mean nothing. Apostates in the media care about the fact that you don't call the police on pedophiles. My goodness, like this is a clear cut, obvious thing. Like we care that you leave it up to the mind of a sexual assaulter to call the police on themselves. I had a talk with an elder I'm related to last week. And this elder, you can probably guess who he is. He asked me, was I happy? I said yes. He also asked me, were there people who thought about the truth like I do? The truth. I said, yes, there are people who see it how I see it. I said to him, my problem is this. The governing body is disfellowshipping people and cutting them off from their families. That is not love. That's my first problem. My second problem is you guys do not call the authorities on sexual predators, pedophiles, and people who commit sexual assault. Why is that? Why do you leave it up to their own minds to turn themselves in? They're sick people. They need help. They need to be off of the street. He couldn't answer. He had an answer. He didn't want to say it. And my third thing was the fact that, and I told him, I read your elder book. You guys are told that you judge people for Jehovah. The Bible clearly states that Jesus is mankind's judge. How can you accept that power or think you have it? Anyway, that's my spiel on the two-witness rule. I'm sure there were pedophiles 2,000 years ago, and I'm sure there wasn't full-on investigative policing of pedophiles 2,000 years ago. Now there is, and your two-witness rule is not the thing that keeps you from calling the police. Have a 90-witness rule. Have a 1,000 people must see this. But when you hear of allegations, and even when there are two witnesses and the person admits to doing the crime, you don't call the police. You don't call the authorities. That's the issue. Not the fact that you have a two-witness rule. The fact that even when there are two witnesses, or even when the person says, yes, I touched this woman or I assaulted this kid, you don't call the authorities. That's the problem. So I challenge you, Watchtower, to reconsider what you think our issue is on your two-witness rule. For the record, we don't have an issue with your two-witness rule. We have an issue with your hand problem. What is your hand problem? You don't use your hand to pick up the phone and call the authorities when people either are accused of or admit to sexual assault and pedophilia. That's my challenge. Call the police. All right? Call the police. Holler at me. Comments, good, bad. Thank you.